What's up, guys? It is Carly here, and today I'm bringing you another DVD slash Blu-ray slash VHS slash book update because I actually bought some books this time, and it's actually pretty decently large. I went a little crazy because my Goodwill, they usually don't have anything, so I kind of stopped going there for a while, but recently I went there and they just had like a million VHS horror movies. JP picked some up too, but even with him picking some up, there's still like plenty for me to grab, and I'm definitely going to start hitting that place up a lot more again because it seems like they've been on a roll with putting out some pretty good stuff. So I was pretty excited. That's where I bought the books as well. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and get into this. The majority really is VHS. I got some DVDs and Blu-rays as well. Some I've already talked about, but yeah, I'm just going to hop right in, and I'm just going to start with the books because that's what I have the least of. And first up, we have Misery here. Yeah, Stephen King's Misery. I was really excited to see this here. It was a little more, I think their books are usually like $2.99, but they had this one like priced at $3.99 because I guess when they get like, you know, special well-known books like this and like that are in decent condition, they kind of price them a little higher, but $3.99, that's not that much either. And I am actually reading this right now, and I really enjoy it. My problem with books is a lot of times I kind of daydream and have trouble paying attention to them, but with this one, it is an exception, and I gotta say it's very brutal, and so far I'm really digging it. I love the movie, but the book, definitely, I could see what people are saying where they do a lot, it's more depressing and, you know, hard to read about. So, really enjoying this so far. Next up, we have another Stephen King book, and that is Night Shift. This one's not in the best condition ever. It looks like it's been well read, but I actually owned this back a couple years ago, and I don't know if I gave it away or if when I moved it kind of got lost or what, but I never did get around to reading it, or I think I might have started reading it or like skipped through a couple stories, but I don't really remember it at all. I know it's a bunch of short stories. I think it has some good ones like Children of the Corns in here and Graveyard Shift and things like that, so I'm excited to read this one because, you know, the only Stephen King book I really ever read was Carrie, and other than that, I'm not really familiar with all of them, so I'm excited to kind of read his short stories and his big stories and read some of the things that I know from movies and see how they compare to the film. Then after that, we have Gerald's Game. I was pretty excited to see this because I just watched the movie on Netflix, of course, last year, and I hear the book is pretty good too. It's actually bigger than I thought it would be, so I'm really interested to give this one a read. I'll probably read this one after Misery, but yeah, I was pretty excited to find these. Had to get them all. Then we're going to move along to the Blu-rays. Like I said, some of these I already talked about because I do my horror pack unboxing, so sorry if it's not that exciting if you do watch my horror pack unboxing videos, but yeah, starting off though, we do have The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing. This was given to me so kindly by Mr. Austin Schroyer. Check out his YouTube account. It is Austin424. So check him out. He also does horror-related videos, and he's an extremely nice guy, a good friend of mine that happens to live around here, and I'm happy I met him, and this was really nice of him. I did not own The Thing on Blu-ray, and it is a great movie. You know, growing up I didn't really watch this movie, but in recent time I've watched it, and I actually just watched it in theaters for a second time yesterday, and I really, really enjoy this one. The ending always gives me chills, and it's just a great story. So yeah, really happy to have this on Blu-ray. Next up, we have a movie called Bedeviled, still packaged here. I haven't watched it yet. I am saving this actually for a podcast. Me and JP are supposed to do a bit of a crossover with the Woodsboro Bros, and this is one of the movies we plan on doing. JP picked this one, and I'm pretty interested in it. It sounds like something that I will enjoy. Sounds like it might be kind of brutal, and just based on the cover alone, it looks kind of depressing, but I feel like it's probably a pretty good movie since he suggested it, so I'm interested in checking it out, but I'm waiting until we get closer to the podcast time to actually watch it so I remember what I watched. After that, we have a steelbook of Resident Evil Afterlife, and I believe Jerry looked it up, and I think this is part 4, which I've seen part 1 and 2 of the Resident Evil movies, and I did actually enjoy them, even though I don't really like movies like that are like over-stylized, action-y, more action than horror, but I really enjoyed the first 2, and, I feel like the first one's more horror than anything, and the only thing is I have not seen part 3, or I might have seen, like, bits of it on TV before, but never watched it all the way through, and quite frankly, like, even though I did like the first 2 movies, this isn't really a franchise that I felt like really getting into, so it kind of sucks that I got part 4 here now, and I feel like I have to watch part 3 before I actually watch this, but either way, it's cool to own another still case, because the only other one I own is Lords of Salem, and I think they're pretty cool. I don't really buy them a lot, but, when I do come across them, like, it's something that I would be interested in collecting, because I think they look cool on the shelf. After that, we have another horror pack movie, and that is Volumes of Blood. You can check out Jerry and I's review on our unofficial horror pack podcast. If you look under the Netflix and Chill feed or the Kill the Cast feed, it is on there. And, I'll just say, spoiler alert, didn't really care for this too much. I feel like it could have been done much better, and some of the acting is just really, really bad, like over-the-top cheesy stuff that, like, maybe a 13-year-old would find amusing, but for me, I really did not care for it all that much. But like I said, you could listen to the full review if you guys are interested. After that, we have The Apparition. Still haven't watched this yet. Once again, another horror pack movie. I think Austin told me it's kind of generic, but, I'm kind of interested in it. It looks like it might, if anything, have some entertainment value, but I just haven't gotten to it yet. Then we have The Lazarus Effect, and I think I've heard mainly good things about this, so I am pretty excited to check it out. I've heard it compared to Reanimator a little bit as well, which, I like the story of Reanimator, so I'm definitely interested in checking this out. Once again, just haven't gotten around to it yet. I have a lot of stuff to watch here, but yeah, definitely one that, like I said, I will be interested in watching when I do. Then we have Get Out. My mom actually spent the night with me a couple of nights, and she really was interested in watching this because she did not get the chance to see it in theaters when it came out. So she went to Walmart, bought it, and then told me I could keep it after we watched it. So I said, what the heck, I'll go ahead and add it to the collection. Upon rewatch, I still liked it quite a bit. I was afraid it would kind of lose its value to me, but I actually still really enjoyed it, and I think it does have some other replay value. It's definitely one that I would be interested in going back to again, so I am happy that she bought this and she let me keep it. Then after that, once again, this was kindly given to me by Mr. Austin, and that is Phenomena. I had never seen this before. Dario Argento, obviously, one of the ones that people consider one of his masterpieces. It was one I was always interested in checking out because just based on the title and the cover, and I've always heard people talk about it. I was really interested in it, and I did watch it, and I really did enjoy it. I watched it late at night one night, and I fell asleep while watching it, so the next morning I put it back on, and yeah, I think it's really well done. The score is great, definitely, probably, Suspiria is definitely, like, one of my favorite scores, but this is definitely up there, and yeah, I think the music really makes it. The performances are great. I really like Donald Pleasance in it, and yeah, great movie. Definitely one I would go back to in the future. Then another one Austin gave me was Tenebrae. I think that's how you say it. Yeah, I don't know much about this one. I hear it's also one of Dario Argento's best, but I haven't gotten the chance to watch it yet. I'm definitely interested in checking it out, though. Don't really even know what Tenebrae means, to be honest with you guys. So yeah, I really do want to watch this because it's one that I've heard people talk about, but I'm not really familiar with. I don't even think I've ever seen a trailer for it, so I'm really excited to watch that one as well. After that, we have a movie called From the Dark. This is another one that we plan on doing on the Woodsboro Bros podcast. I think Austin is the one who, yeah, I know, he's the one he chose to do this one. Once again, have not opened it yet. I ordered these online a couple weeks ago, and I'm just waiting until we get closer to recording to actually watch all of these. Then we have a movie called Fender Bender. I actually bought this also for a podcast, not the Woodsboro Bros, but I'm supposed to do an episode of Cinema Attack in the next month or so, something like that. Forget which episode exactly, but they want to do a slasher show. I think it might be independent slashers, and this was one of the picks. I just picked this up while I was buying the other things for Woodsboro Bros because I got it off a second spin, I believe, and they were doing like buy 3 get 1 free, so I figured might as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone and get one of these movies as well. I'm pretty excited for this because I do like my slasher movies, and this looks pretty interesting. And then, lastly, for the DVDs, we have Phantoms. I bet you can guess which one of the Woodsboro Bros would have picked this one, and of course, Andrew picked this one. Classic floating head movie. Never seen it before, but Rose McGowan's in it. However you say that other dude's name from Scream is in it. So, you know, this looks very, very, very post-Screamish. Don't really know anything about it, so I'm interested to watch it though, because to be honest, you know, I make fun of Andrew a lot, but I tend to like these movies too because I also kind of grew up watching them. You know, I was a big fan of Scream, and like I Know What You Did Last Summer growing up, so I can't really hate on them all that much. Okay guys, now we're moving on to the VHS. Let me make some room over here because this is going to be a big pile. So yeah, first up, don't really have these in any special order, but on top we have Red Dragon. JP gave me Manhunter for Christmas, so, you know, I found this at Goodwill just the other night and figured why not just pick this one up too. I've never seen it before, so might as well complete the collection there. So yeah, I'm interested in checking this out because it's not one that I would have necessarily grabbed on my own, but since he got me that other one, I figured why not. Then we have Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. I really enjoy The Birds. Growing up, it was one I watched. I've only really seen out of Hitchcock's movies this and Psycho, and I really enjoy them both. Psycho a little bit more, but you know, The Birds is one that was always on TV a lot, it seemed like, so, you know, I never really bought it on DVD or anything, so I'm happy to own it on VHS. It's in pretty good condition here, too, so, yeah, I'm interested in checking this one out again because it's been a few years. Then we have Suspicion, also an Alfred Hitchcock movie. For some reason, someone must have dropped off a bunch of their whole entire Alfred Hitchcock collection because there was basically every movie he's ever made, it seemed like, at the Goodwill. So I went ahead and picked them up because, like I said, I'm not too familiar with his films. I know most of them fall along the lines of suspense, mystery, crime type movies, and that's what this one seems to be like, but I'm still pretty interested in checking it out. And once again, these are all in very good condition, not really any mess ups on the cover or the tape, so I was pretty excited to find these. Then we have yet another one, and that is Marnie. You know, once again, don't really know anything about this at all, but seemed interesting enough and pretty cool. Then we have Horror Express. Don't know anything about this one either, honestly, but it was something, you know, I found at the Goodwill. You know, this would be an example of, I mentioned on one of my body bags reviews how JP and I wanted to do a podcast besides Netflix and Chill where we went to Goodwills and found obscure movies or movies you wouldn't really see everywhere, and this probably would have been a good example of one, but, you know, unfortunately, we couldn't really find all that much to make that podcast happen, but I'm pretty excited to check this out and see what it's all about, because I've never really heard of it before. Then we have Scream on VHS. I really enjoy these covers. This one is Drew Barrymore, and there's also, of course, you have the floating head one, then you have a Courtney Cox and a Neve Campbell one where it's just close-ups of their faces, and the other day when I went they had the, I think it was the Courtney Cox one there as well, but you know, I don't really need a million VHS copies of Scream, but you know, anyway, Scream is definitely in probably honestly my top 5 horror movies. I absolutely love Scream, and hopefully this works because I actually just gave my mom the DVD of Scream because I felt bad that I stole it off of her back in the day, and I was like, hey, I got the VHS, so you can have the DVD, so, you know, didn't watch this yet. Hopefully it actually works, or else, bad luck for me. But, Next up, we have The Hitcher. I was really excited to find this as well because this is also one that might possibly be in my like top 10 or top 15 horror movies. It's been a long time since I've watched The Hitcher. I used to watch it a lot growing up though, and yeah, what can I say? Great movie. Love the performances. I love road horror. That's one of my things, and this you know, it's covered in plastic here, but it's like open at the bottom, so I don't know what's up with all that, but once again, pretty good condition, and I was excited to find this on VHS because I've always just really enjoyed the cover of it as well. And then we move along to The Fog. I was excited to find this one too, even though it's not really my favorite John Carpenter film. It's definitely grown on me over time. It's got great atmosphere to it, very creepy vibes throughout it, and once again, I really like this cover art here, and I was pretty excited to find this one just because it's cool to own on VHS. I do own it on DVD, but you know, it's one of those classics that I just felt like I had to grab. Then we got some more VHS, second stack here, and first up we have Children of the Corn. Found this one the other night. Actually, what happened was the other night, JP went to Goodwill without me after we hung out, and then he called me up and said, like, yo, there's literally 1 million VHS here, and I left some behind. You know, he bought, like, a lot of the good stuff, but he did leave some behind for me, so I ran out there, and this is one of the ones he didn't pick up because he already owns it, and I actually don't even own the first Children of the Corn movie. I own Part 2, Part 3, and then Genesis, oddly enough, so pretty happy to have this because it's, you know, honestly, it's like the best one in the franchise. Obviously, it's the first one, and it is a classic, so I'm excited to revisit this one. Then we have another classic, and that is good old Candyman here. This one was sealed, and whenever JP and I went to a drive-in around last year or so, we went to a Goodwill out that way, and they had Candyman 1 and 2, and I didn't notice Candyman 1 was sitting there, and I grabbed Part 2, and then he grabbed Part 1, so it was kind of like a finders keepers type situation. So now I finally have Candyman Part 1 and Part 2 on VHS, which is pretty cool. Once again, I own this on DVD, but I was happy to grab this on VHS just because I have Part 2 on VHS. Next up, we have Tales from the Crypt. Says this is the film that inspired the series. I was actually pretty excited to grab this because I'm not all that familiar with the Tales from the Crypt TV series. I just didn't really watch a lot of horror TV shows growing up or anything like that. And nowadays, I always say I'm going to, but I never really find the time because I'm always watching movies, and I feel like watching TV shows takes up a lot of my free time, so never really got into Tales from the Crypt, but I didn't even know there was like a movie that kind of inspired it, so I'm excited to watch this, especially because I know some people in the group page were telling me that I should definitely check it out because it's pretty dope. Then we have another sealed one here, and that is Cape Fear. This is arguably more of a suspense thriller film, but you know, what can I say? It's got Robert De Niro, Martin Scorsese did it, and great remake. I mean, I don't know why I'm saying that. I've never even seen the original, so I'm a fake fan there. But, you know, I know a lot of people like this, actually kind of prefer this one to the original. And I've seen it like once or twice growing up, and I don't remember it a whole lot, but I do remember liking it. So this is another one I'll be interested in giving a rewatch to. I also love Robert De Niro, so it's a win-win situation. Then next up, really happy to find this one, and that is Psycho 3. I've posted many times how Psycho 3 is probably like my second favorite horror movie of all time. You know, I used to say that like Psycho Part 1 was, but when I really think about it, I love the first Psycho movie, and it's great and everything, and I've rewatched it many times, but if I really feel like rewatching a movie to be entertained by, I would definitely grab Psycho 3 out of all 4 of the original Psycho movies, because this is definitely the most entertaining one, where Psycho 1's kind of slow, and Psycho 2, while it's not necessarily slow, it's not as, you know, fun as this one. This one definitely feels influenced just by the slasher movies that were coming out at that time. So yeah, can't say enough good things about Psycho 3, and pretty excited to own it on VHS. The only problem was that the spine, or whatever you want to call it here, is actually facing the opposite direction of like all the other VHS on my shelf, which is really irritating to me. I also have a copy of Black Christmas on DVD that does the same thing. I don't get why that happens, but it is devastating, especially since this is one of my favorite movies. But either way, pretty cool to own. Then after that we have House on Haunted Hill. I really enjoy this movie. You know, it's an older movie. I'm not necessarily all that into these older films. You know, black and white films, I'm like the typical person where I get kind of taken out of them, but when they're done really well, I really enjoy them. Like, I really like, this is one of the ones I really like. Obviously, I really like Psycho, Night of the Living Dead, and King Kong. Those are some of my other favorite black and white films, but yeah, really like this one. You know, I've seen the remake too, and I would definitely put this one above it. It's got some really creepy moments in it, honestly, and I'm excited to rewatch this one because there's just one part in it that really, really has always creeped me out, and I'm happy to finally own it. After that, we have The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Once again, this is more of arguably like a thriller, suspense film. It seems like in the 90s there were a lot of movies kind of similar to this one. Like, you have movies like, I would compare it kind of to like movies sort of like Fatal Attraction. They just have that really thriller, suspense movie where like a family's being broken up and stuff like that. But this is one I always really enjoyed growing up. It's one my mom always would throw on TV because it was one that it was always on TV a lot, it seemed like. I never really did own a physical copy of it, so figured might as well grab it while I see it on VHS. Kind of a weird format to own a movie like this on, but you know, I love it. Rebecca De Mornay, she's a really great actress in this. And then finally, guys, we have The Silence of the Lambs. This is one of the movies that I often joke about that you will see at every single Goodwill in the world, and it's one that I actually have never owned. I just kind of roll my eyes when I see it at Goodwill because it seems like this movie, Star Wars, Titanic, Twister, and a million Disney movies are all you can ever find at Goodwill. You can never find anything special, but there will be like 10 copies of this all the time. But anyway, you know, I went to Goodwill the other night. I found this and wasn't going to buy it at first, but then I saw like Red Dragon was there, and that's why I went ahead and just bought both of them because I thought, oh, well, you know, it's an excuse to finish off that trilogy, and, you know, it's kind of cool. I now own all 3 of these Hannibal Lecter films on VHS, and I have seen Silence of the Lambs. I'm not dissing this movie at all. It's a really, really great movie. It blew me away when I first saw it, and it was probably one of my favorites for a while there, so definitely not dissing it. It's just one that I feel like is on TV a lot, and you can find it everywhere, and it's just one I never grabbed for whatever reason, but finally own a copy, and, you know, got that out of my system. But yeah, this was a very long update. I did not realize how many VHS I picked up, and honestly, if Goodwill continues to have this many movies, a lot of my updates probably will be more at VHS because I get really excited when I do see them, and I feel like I have to buy them all because, you know, they're only 99 cents a piece, so, you know, I'll spend my entire paycheck on them and not even realize. But, you know, they do take up room on the shelf, but other than that, it's just like a nostalgia type purpose because I used to have quite a bit growing up, and yeah, but anyway, guys, thank you once again for joining me on this exciting, pretty large update video, and, you know, once I get a good pile going once again, I will do another update. So, once again, thank you again for joining me, and I'll see you next time.